Welcome in everyone, this is Sean with MTG808 Jr., and today we are going to be taking a look at our blue-red wizard deck as requested by one of our viewers. This is our second attempt at this video, as the first one did not have any audio, so we have just double-checked the audio is up and running. Apparently our OBS settings got reset for some reason, and we did not catch it on the video uploaded earlier today, but here we are delivering our amazing Blue-Red Wizards deck, starting point deck. Alright, before we jump into the deck, just want to make sure that everyone is aware of our Patreon page and wanted to give a special shout out to our most recent Patreon contributor, Ryan Harada. Ryan's a staple here in the local Oahu Magic scene, and he just became a gold subscriber to our Patreon, so brought us a little bit closer to our 400 per month goal. Once we hit 400 a month, we will for sure be able to run 2 scholarship tournaments this coming school year, one in the winter and then one in the spring/summer. So thank you to Ryan, and if you want to support what we do, please make sure you check out our Patreon page. That being said, we are going to jump straight into this wizard deck right here. If you want to find a text version of the deck list, you can check the description of this video and you'll find this right here. But for now, we're going to hop on over to Magic Online. Here we go. Okay, now, this was a user-requested deck, or excuse me, a viewer-requested deck, and just from talking to the kids who've been playing in the tournaments, there seem to be lots of kids very interested in playing tribal theme decks. And tribal theme decks are, you know, sometimes very good. We've seen merfolk have success. We've seen pirates have success. We've seen artifacts, artificers have success, right? So there are some decks that have success by playing a theme. But when deciding to play a theme, I want to warn everyone that you need to make sure that your payoff cards are there. Because if your payoff cards aren't there, you're just kind of strapping yourself into some deck building restrictions, and you might not have the payoff. So what I mean by payoff is cards that reward you for playing whatever tribe or theme that you're playing. In this case, we're playing wizards. So we have 2 kind of payoff cards for wizards, both from Dominaria. First, we have Gitu Journey Mage. So when Gitu Journey Mage enters the battlefield, if you control another wizard, Gitu Journey Mage deals 2 damage to each opponent. It's a 3-mana 3/2. Now, 3-mana 3/2, that's pretty decent stats. That's reasonable stats, about average for a 3-drop. And then dealing 2 damage to each opponent when it comes into play is a nice little bonus. It's not a big enough bonus to really make this card too much above average of what you would expect out of a normal 3-drop, but it is a nice bonus to have. The other big payoff that we get from Dominaria is Academy Journey Mage. Apparently wizards like to journey. So it's a 5-mana 3/2. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a wizard, so there's your payoff for playing a bunch of wizards. And when Academy Journey Mage enters the battlefield, you return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Alright, so it's usually a 5-mana 3/2 that bounces a creature. If you have a wizard, it's a 4-mana 3/2 that bounces a creature. So these are our 2 incentives for playing mostly wizards for our creatures, and you know, while these are solid Magic cards, especially with you know, the wizard bonus, they aren't really the most powerful payoff cards. And what I mean by that is I want to contrast these 2 payoff cards with some of the successful decks that we've seen in Standard Pauper. So taking a look, waiting for Magic Online to do some thinking. Here we go. Here we have Merfolk, which Aiden has played to a bunch of success in a bunch of tournaments. He did not play this deck in the scholarship tournament, but he played it in pretty much every tournament prior to that. And Merfolk, it has one of the best payoff cards for playing. Every creature in this deck is a Merfolk, and that makes River Herald's Boon amazing, right? 2 mana, instant speed, put 2 permanent +1/+1 counters on target, or on a creature, excuse me, put a +1/+1 counter on any creature, and then an additional +1/+1 counter on any target merfolk. So you can, you know, put the 2 counters on the same creature. If that creature is a merfolk, you can split it between 2 creatures. So, you know, this is a card that is much more powerful than the average common if you get the tribal bonus. So this is a good example of something that is very much worth having the merfolk tribe. It's worth limiting the number of creatures or the options on creatures that we can play so that this card is that much more powerful. Similar with Jade Guardian, right? A 4-mana 2/2 hexproof. This is the cheapest hexproof creature that's in the format, so you know, since this deck is playing Cartouche of Knowledge and River Herald's Boon to kind of make your creatures huge, you want to have hexproof creatures. Excuse me. You want to have hexproof creatures to put these bonuses on, so the deck would play this card anyway. But it also has, you know, it's a merfolk, it's the right creature type, and it also has an ability that rewards you for playing other merfolk. So when Jade Guardian enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target merfolk you control. Most of the time, it's going to be targeting itself. Some of the time, you know, pretty often, reasonably often, it's going to target another merfolk. So this is just another card that gets, you know, it might even be considered above average without the merfolk bonus, without being in a merfolk deck. But it's definitely above average when it is in a deck full of merfolk. Same thing with Shaper Apprentice. It's a 2-mana 2/1 flyer as long as you control another merfolk. Every other creature in the deck is a merfolk, so it's almost always a 2-mana 2/1 flyer. That's significantly better than most 2-mana creatures. So, you know, this is just one example of a tribe having good payoff cards that make it worth playing the tribe. One more example here. This is Jeffrey's black-red pirate deck. He took this deck to top 4. Oh, here we go. Just waiting a little bit. He took this deck to top 4 in the scholarship tournament. The big incentive here for him playing pirates, Buccaneers Bravado, right? This card, 2-mana. Instant, choose one, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn, reasonable combat trick, but since his deck is all pirates, this really is just 2-mana, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn, right? Since he's playing all pirates, he always gets that second ability. With cards like Run Amok, right, this sets up a 2-card combo that lets him just punch through a whole bunch of damage. So Buccaneers Bravado is much more powerful than the average common when you have the tribal payoff, right? His other tribal payoffs here that are not as powerful, but are just, you know, above average commons that incentivize you to play pirates. 3-mana, 3/3 pirate. It can't block, but it has menace if you control another pirate, right? Really helps at pushing that damage through. Another 3-mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life unless you control another pirate, right? 3-mana, 3/3 is slightly above average for a 3-mana creature. So, you know, these pirate incentives make it worth playing the pirate tribe, make it worth playing, you know, a limited range of creatures. And also, same thing with merfolk. Pirates, they have a good curve when it comes to options. Wizards is stretching a little bit for the curve, and I'll talk about that in a second here. Okay, so we talked about our payoff cards, Academy Journey Mage, Gitu Journey Mage. They're solid, but nothing incredibly special. But the options that we have here for our curve, let me just pull up rarity, common. Okay, the options that we have for our curve with Wizards is pretty slim. So, alright, we're playing Gitu Lava Runner. 1-mana, 1/2. As long as there are 2 or more instants or sorceries in the graveyard, it gets +1/+1 or +1/+0 and has haste. So it's a 1-mana 2/2 with haste. If you have, you know, in the mid to late game, if you have 2 or more instants or sorceries in the graveyard, we are playing 15, I believe. 3. This is 6, so 9 plus 13, 14, 15. Yeah, we are playing 15 instants. So 15 instants to turn on Gitu Lava Runner. But it is a 1-mana wizard. You know, if we weren't locked into the wizard tribe, we would consider Fanatical Firebrand in this slot. We would consider, you know, Slitherblade in this spot, since we are a blue-red aggressive deck. But because we're playing these wizard payoffs, we need to make sure we have wizards in play. So Lava Runner, you know, it's solid enough that I'm fine playing it on 1. Moving up the curve, our next strongest option, this guy has proven itself in blue aggro decks already, so we're very happy that this guy just so happens to be a wizard. Spellweaver Eternal, 2 mana, 2/1, Prowess, and Afflict 2, so whenever it becomes blocked, they lose 2 life. So Prowess, in combination with our 15 very aggressive instants and sorceries, paired with Afflict, making it punishing them for blocking. This card is just what an aggressive deck that plays cheap instants and sorceries wants, and that's exactly the strategy that we're playing. So this guy is great. The fact that it's a wizard is just gravy. Our other 2-drop, this is the slot that, you know, if we weren't locked into the wizard tribe, we would probably play a different creature. But we're playing Gitu Chronicler here. It's a 2 mana 1/3, which is really underwhelming for an aggro deck. You don't want to be paying 2 mana for a 1/3 in an aggro deck. But the kicker is the reason that we're playing this. So as I said, we're playing 15 instants. If you paid the extra 4 to kick it, so 6 total, when it comes into play, you return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. So you can get back your bounce spell or your burn spell to kind of finish off your opponent. Gives you a bunch of late game gas. So, you know, again, this card is not great to play on turn 2, but our other options in the wizard tribe are really not that great. Voldalian Arcanist, right? It's a 2 mana 1/3, makes mana that can only be spent on instants and sorceries. All of our instants and sorceries are very cheap, so we don't want to play this card. Shaper Apprentice is a wizard. 2 mana 2/1. Shaper Apprentice has flying as long as you control another merfolk. This particular build is playing 6 other merfolk, so you know this is a reasonable option. Especially if we're playing 4 of this, then you know we might have other copies of this to be able to play. So if you want to give this deck a try, you know, consider Shaper Apprentice in the Gitu Chronicler slot. And then, you know, unfortunately, Gustwalker is in the wrong color, but it also happens to be a wizard. And then Seeker of Insight, again, it's a 2 mana 1/3 with a sweet ability, right? Tap, draw, then discard, activate this ability only if you've cast a non-creature spell this turn. Not really where we want to be in our aggressive deck, though. You know, card filtering is much better in kind of slow, mid-rangey control decks, so not Seeker of Insight. Our other pretty decent option is Pathmaker Initiate, which is a wizard, 2 mana, 2/1, tap, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. You know, that works on Gitu Lava Runner, it works on Spellweaver Eternal. You can make it unblockable and then, you know, cast some spells with Prowess to get through for more than 2 damage. Water Trap Weaver, which we'll talk about in a minute, can sneak in with Pathmaker Initiate. So, you know, Pathmaker Initiate is an option as well. I personally really like playing grindy decks. By that I mean decks that can kind of go to the long game. So I like Gitu Chronicler here. You know, picking back up a removal spell just feels really good. But I would understand if you wanted to play this deck a little more aggressive and less grindy, and then just play the more aggressive creature with Shaper Apprentice here. It's not going to have flying as often as I would like to for sure want to play this card, but it is the right... What the heck? Oh, man. Okay. Whew. I don't know if the audio caught on that, but a video just started playing in the background, and it startled me. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I don't know if what I heard is going to get picked up on the video, but we'll see. Okay, so as I was saying, it's the right creature type. It is a wizard. However, the bonus... creature type, the creature type that you need to turn on the bonus is the wrong creature type, Merfolk. But there is enough overlap here that I could see an argument being made for Shaper Apprentice. Okay, and then moving on up the curve, that was our 2-drops. We've already talked about Gitu Journey Mage, right? Slightly above average 3-drop. Enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is an aggressive deck. We are trying to kill our opponents as fast as we can, so it is a relevant... you know, bonus to tack on to a decently costed creature. And then our other 3-drop here is Water Trap Reaver, 3 mana, 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So you can tap something down. It can't block this turn. It won't untap on their next turn. Can't block then as well. So you know, our 3-drops are kind of just there to help us push through damage. Moving up the curve, I'm unsure about this guy as well, but it is the right creature type, and it synergizes with enough spells or other creatures in the deck that I think it's worth trying. It's a 4 mana 3/2, can't be blocked, so that's very powerful. It does die to a lot of commonly played removal, mostly Shock and Moment of Craving and Vicious Hunger, so be careful of that, but Storm Sculptor, the drawback on it is when it enters the battlefield, you have to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. That's not a May, so you have to return a creature. If you don't have any other creatures in play, this has to return itself. So, you know, it's a very steep drawback, but a 4 mana 3/2 unblockable is very powerful. And it has some synergy with the rest of the cards in our deck. So Gitu Lava Runner has haste. You know, you could return it to your hand, and then when you replay it, hopefully it'll have haste by turn 5. You know, if you have 5 mana, you can pick it up and then replay it immediately. Hopefully it has haste and then attack with it. You can return Gitu Chronicler, which, you know, you return it on turn 4. If you had to play it on turn 2, you might get in some damage with it, you might block something with it, and then on turn 4 you return it to your hand, and then it's ready to play on turn 6 with Kicker. Both of our 3-drops have Enter the Battlefield abilities, right? Dealing 2 damage to an opponent, or keeping a creature tapped down, so Storm Sculptor would like to return those as well. And then, of course, our Academy Journey Mage, which is either a 4 or 5 mana creature. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So Storm Sculptor has a fair amount of synergy. It is a steep drawback, especially if it eats a removal spell. You're going to be pretty behind on tempo. So I'm only playing 3. It could be right to play less. If you do try this deck out, let me know how you like Storm Sculptor. This is one of those slots that I'm the least sure about. And then we already talked about Academy Journey Mage. Since we're playing, you know, this is 12, we're playing 21 other wizards, it should be a 4-drop most of the time. And returning a creature an opponent controls to their owner's hand. You know, most of the metagame that we've seen shape up that has had success in the standard pauper metagame is a bunch of cheap creatures, so, you know, returning a 1 or 2-drop to your opponent's hand is not nearly as powerful as returning a 3, 4, or 5-drop to your opponent's hand, so, you know, this card is not at its best in this format, but it's powerful enough that I think it's wrong to not play 4. Looking over here at our spells, as I said, we do want spells to combo with Gitu Lava Runner and Gitu Chronicler. Unsummon, very powerful in an aggressive deck. Not at its best against other aggressive decks, though. Blink of an Eye, you know, another bounce spell. It's better than Unsummon, kind of in the mid-game where you're running out of things to do with your mana. You can use that extra mana to draw a card. And then, of course, the aggressive red removal spells. So Shock can go to the face, but more likely kill a creature. Lightning Strike, same thing, can kill a creature or go to the face. And then with the dominance of the mono-white aggressive deck, I think that main decking Magnus Spray is a good call, right? This can exile Sacred Cat or Unwavering Initiate before they have a chance to embalm it. So this is where we're at for Blue-Red Wizards. Again, if you try this deck out, let me know how you like Storm Sculptor. Let me know what you think about Gitu Chronicler. If you like Shaper Apprentice more. I didn't build a board for this deck, just because I think that, you know, this is more of a starting point deck than a refined, you know, deck that I put a lot of thought into. This is just kind of like, here's where I think Wizards should start. And again, I'll reiterate, I don't think these are the strongest payoff cards that you can have to kind of limit yourself to just playing Wizards. But, you know, if you like playing blue-red tempo, you know, this is a decent option. Yeah, so let us know what you think in the comments. Hit that like button if you like our if you like standard pauper, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on our standard pauper content, and please make sure to check out our Patreon page. As I said, if we hit $400 a month in Patreon subscriptions, we will for sure be able to run 2 scholarship tournaments each year, one in the fall and one in the spring/summer. So thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the content. Let us know what you think, and I will catch you later. Peace.